Hello, how's it going, guys? Lightwater here. Some of you may know me as Shockwater if you're watching this as a paladin. But here I am. You don't know me, I was the original creator of Glimmer, so this was a joy to do the Glimmerdin, that is. Or like the Haste Paladin build from BFA. So this was fun to do. I didn't think it was going to be about Glimmer, but there were some interesting things. I'm very tired, if you can tell. Let's see, what is it? It's about 3 p.m. I started at 7 p.m. yesterday. So it's been 20 hours, but it was a lot of fun. And I took my time, and I was hanging out with some friends at certain times, so it wasn't like a full 20 hours. I took some breaks and stuff, so but yeah. Guys, I have some good information to report to you. Let me get off the screen here. I think everybody's saying Holy Paladin sucks, and I think that I guess I feel like I keep saying this after each video, but I now feel like I hate to spill the beans. Honestly, I even talked to some people and was like, should I make this video? I believe Holy Paladin's the strongest healer by far. I really think that, and I'll explain why. I feel like I'm revealing all my cheese, but that's what the whole point of this is for. So I'll probably be maining Holy Paladin. We'll build up to it. I think you'll start to understand here pretty soon. But I took my sweet time. You know, I did all the theory crafting. This is just base without beacons, you know, the classic stuff. And then this was pretty fun. This took a while. I wanted to make sure I had like everything listed, right? So one curious thing I started to notice was that your spells became more effective when you healed beacon targets. So normally you don't want to heal beacon targets because, well, waste to heal, right? And your beacon's 50%. So you think that would matter a lot. Well, it turns out that the holy power you get from healing a beacon target is incredibly valuable. So it's not even bad at all to heal a beacon target. In fact, in some of these, the -B, it gets significantly better than the previous version. It's hard for me to give advice like always use your holy light on a beacon target, but that's what the data suggests. So like holy light on a beacon target with infusion of light is pretty decent efficiency, right? So now these numbers, I've done enough healers now, like to the point where I'm like, yeah, these are okay numbers, but I could kind of start to see why people were saying Holy Paladin was weak. There just wasn't anything that was like jumping out at me right away, right? And I was like, okay, well, it's got to get some power somewhere, or it's just going to be like bottom healer. I was hoping the Light of the Martyr conduit would come in hot, but not really. It's kind of doo-doo. I was hoping that the holy words would carry, and they do a lot of healing, but that wasn't quite it either. So I mean, they're decent healing, right? This is Word of Glory with the conduit, so it comes a lot closer to Light of Dawn. Without the conduit, it does a lot less healing. Oh yeah, so I was able to figure out like what holy power meant, right? Because I was able to theory craft like Light of Dawn's healing, and so like one holy power I made 1/3 of like Light of Dawn, right? And so once we were able to figure out that, I could start to add that value. So then that value got added to you know, the -Bs, right? So that's like if you heal a beacon target because you get a holy power, and you obviously can turn that into free healing. Also, it means like stuff like Crusader Strike starts to get its own like bar down here because now it's technically a heal, right? It's giving 1 holy power. We know what 1 holy power is worth. It has a mana cost, so it gets a efficiency ratio. That's what I went with. And then I did some convoluted math for the Crusader's Might talent. It does get quite a bit more efficient, but yeah. So there was a lot of interesting things. Luckily, guys, I have a paladin that's high level and like geared on the beta, so I was able to test all the legendaries and everything. Which is probably one of the reasons why this took so long, but I was trying to be thorough. I feel like I was thorough for the first like 70% of this. And in the last 30%, I was so sure of what the build is going to be that I started doing like just like whatever math, you know. I'm just like, okay, yeah, it's like around this, and no, it feels like this, you know. So because once you like start to see what's going on, you'll realize there's no like contest. Like, yeah, I mean, there's just nothing else they can really try to pull off. There's a couple different things, but they're not gonna do much. Judgment Light's fairly efficient. So here's a list of all the stuff, all the breakdowns. There were some pretty decently complicated equations in here, like how does like a holy point thing work with when you start to like decrease cooldowns and then increase mana usage, you know, especially like a lot of the math was spent on Crusader Might, reducing the cooldown of Holy Shock. Like, what does that mean, right? You're getting more Holy Shocks, but you're also spending more mana, but then you're also increasing the number of glimmers out. So all this had to be like factored in. It was really complicated. Also, there was the conduit for Holy Light, the one where it splash heals. The splash heals don't do any beacon healing. Also, glimmer beacon healing is only at 25%, not 50. Same with Light of Dawn. So there's a lot of AoE that gets classified as like a reduced beacon transfer, at only 25% instead of 50. So that was kind of interesting. For a while, double beacon, the double beacon talent was actually looking pretty decent. For a while. I mean, technically, guys, so you're gonna hear me talk about basically like a melee build the whole time, but there is still a range build, and I believe it's the meta right now. That's still quite fine. So if you guys are interested in the range build, it will exist. It's going to be a much slower, normal experience as opposed to what I'm about to show you guys. But yeah, I think it'll still do fine. But I don't know if it's going to like win any awards, you know. Yeah, try his Flash of Light Might. It just didn't end up being any good at HBS, like any good at efficiency. When the mana cost got reduced, it started to get some efficiency when used on your Beacon of Light target, because most of its value was coming from the fact that it gives a holy power. So yeah, and when you get like the improved Infusion of Light Legendary, this number does jump up quite a bit, but it still doesn't beat Holy Light. Let's see, anything else here. A lot of the theory crafting was done with 4.6 glimmer targets up, so it switches to 6.6, I think, when we take Crusader Might, the talent. So obviously the Glimmer of Light stuff can still scale a little bit harder because it can be on a total of 8 targets. Here's all the fun Holy Light math that had to be done in such a weird way, because remember that splash healing isn't affected by beacons, so this required a lot of like fuckery. And I did 4 versions of it, right? So you've got Holy Light plus beacon plus the conduit, and then you've got that plus illusion of light. Then you have the top part which minus the beacon, and then you have the top part minus the beacon. When by minus the beacon, I mean you're healing the beacon target, and then plus illusion of light, whatever the hell it's called, infusion of light. Okay, yeah, Light of the Martyr never ended up being any good. Is there anything else here? All those like stupid like heals in the talent tree below, like Light's Hammer, Holy Prism, they're all just like trash. You know what the one that was actually really good was? Bestow Faith. Bestow Faith actually showed up pretty decently. It was pretty efficient, but the problem is it runs into a similar issue that like Monk kind of did. It was like, okay, great, Bestow Faith, it's super efficient, it's awesome. Now what? The problem is you have to spend your mana on something at some point. And Crusader Strike to get the cooldown off of Holy Shock is just like your only play of actually like purchasing HBS with your mana, right? So even though it's like less efficient than Bestow Faith, it's the play at the end of the day. Plus, like, you know, obviously the synergies between Ace and all that. So oh yeah, Saved by the Light, it's passive, I think, in the 3rd row. I theory crafted it as if you were switching around your beacon target to get the shields, and it's actually really efficient. So if you guys want to play a little mini game, you can like switch your beacon to a really low health target, I guess, in theory, before you heal it. if you have Saved by the Light, it'll give it a pretty decent sized shield, and then you could heal it. If that's like the kind of playstyle you kind of want to go with, you know, it would work well with if you're trying to do the beacon heals for the holy power. So, I mean, I don't know, that's very minor and really try hard. So I'd probably just like not, but yeah, you can. Let's see. Okay. Oh yeah, so for this, I knew it was going to be incredibly difficult. I knew the hurdles coming up, right? And the hurdles was going to be the talent tree. Like, how do you pick the second to last and the third to last talent rows, right? Let me see if I have it up still. I feel like that music is a little bit cancerous. It's fucking wubbing in my ear. Talent calculator. Here we go. So, what was I saying? Oh yeah, okay. So these two rows right here, this is where all the hurdle is, right? This is always going to come down to, between these two, it's going to be like, that's a mathematical equation of just like which one's better passive HPS, assuming, you know, you can heal both beacon targets. And then this one is like a burst HPS thing, which I've never liked Beacon of Virtue, so I didn't even bother trying to theorycraft it. So take that for what you will. I hate that talent so goddamn much. I think it's just so stupid, right? It takes 2% of your mana. It's a GCD. It's got a 15-second cooldown. Only lasts for 8. So it's like you pay a GCD. You basically lose like a fourth of the duration waiting around. Now you have your beacons out. Now you do a little bit of healing, and then it removes beacons, so you don't even have beacon normally. I don't know. I understand the use of it, and I think it's good in 5-mans, but I just don't think it's got a place in Raid, in my opinion. But yeah, Avenging Crusade, it just, by the numbers, just seems like dog shit. To pay 10% mana for something that just doesn't really even do that much healing is so bad. And it replaces your wings, right? So it was kind of it became kind of like, well, which one of the top row do you use? And we use Sanctified Wrath or Awakening, right? And so there were some pretty solid combos in here. And I kind of did some of the math down here. This like tiny little text. But when I really looked at it, what started to occur was that Divine Purpose and Awakening combo together is insane. Also, Holy Avenger and Awakening combo was pretty good. And then Seraphim and Awakening combo. Basically anything with Awakening. Awakening just really pumps up the raw throughput a lot, right? The main thing is, like, getting Avenging Wrath is really good for multiple reasons. The main one actually is the fact that you can throw the hammer. You can throw the hammer twice. So by the hammer, I'm talking about Hammer of Wrath. Hammer of Wrath is free and rewards you 1 holy power when you use it. You can only use it when the enemy is 20% and below health, or if you're in wings, right? Well, this allows you to throw it in wings, and you can throw it twice because its cooldown's like 7.5. So Awakening every proc automatically equals 2 holy power. That is a lot of throughput increase, a lot of free throughput increase. Not to mention it scales really hard with all the other holy words you're trying to cast non-stop, and then suddenly it starts pushing Crusader Might's value up, right? And the second you decide to take Awakening, well, of course, Divine's Purpose is like Divine Purpose, and then I guess like this talent tree's bugged. This is supposed to be Seraphim, but you get the point. Alright, never mind. It's going to show you in game. But yeah, this is normally Seraphim. But either way, you take Awakening, and then Holy Avengers value goes way up, and Divine's Purpose's value goes way up. So Divine Purpose can proc Divine Purpose. So that means Divine Purpose is like actual proc chance is like almost 18%, because the Purpose can proc the Purpose that procs the Purpose, so on and so forth, right? Also, it makes your next holy power just do 20% more, which is really nice. These two in conjunction just fucking started doing some insane things together, right? And so that started pushing the rest of the build into a certain direction. That locked in Glimmer. So instead, Beacon of Faith was an option before, but I pretty much locked in Glimmer. And the reason for that is you're trying to generate as much holy power now. Because now spending the holy power spells has a chance to give you wings, and wings equals, well, more wings because you can generate more holy power, therefore getting more, you know, holy power abilities, so on and so forth. The math starts to get crazy, especially if you theorize like some haste levels that you can get to with these two, right? And so of course you want Crusader's Might because you want Holy Shocks on a shorter cooldown, therefore you want more holy power, and suddenly Glimmer of Light is just the only choice. And so this is kind of the build I started realizing was going to be really good, but it still was like, okay, it's going to be like an average healer, right? I was like, I don't know if there's going to be much to it, right? And then I took a look at the legendaries for Paladin, and oh my god, they're out of this world. Paladin has 6 good legendaries. Like really, really good legendaries. Like so stupidly good that there's 2 that are like, in my opinion, just broken. But we'll get to that in a second. So, Myriad's Dying Breath. Let me see if I can get like in game, and I'll kind of talk over these legendaries a little bit here. This is the one where I want to say this is the one where your judgment gives holy power. I don't know. Let's find out. See, I'm completely prepared for this. I promise. It was at this point where I was like, huh. Like I was starting to kind of like rush a little. Okay. Oh no, this is the okay. Myriad's Dying Breath is the Light of the Mar one. Yeah. It actually showed up decently well. Because it like how much it bumped up its like efficiency because with it no longer taking health. So that was an okay option. What's next? Shock Barrier came in at like 6.6%. Decent, obviously. It does lots of healing per cast. I think the main thing holding back Shock Barrier is that it doesn't scale with Beacon, and it has like a it's not gonna scale with Beacon, and it kind of has a cap, right? And remember, a lot of the healing from Holy Shock is coming from the fact that you get holy power. So it's not like this affects your holy power generation at all, right? And we kind of already have a build showing up, you know, which wants us just to cast a lot of holy words, so then they keep coming off cooldown and they keep giving us, you know, wings, which then you know that, like, you get the idea, right? So I started looking through like that lens a lot, and so hopefully I didn't miss anything, but it just seemed like there's too much free healing. That brings us to Shadowbreaker Dawn of the Sun. This thing is insane. I did the math, and I feel like it's anywhere from an 8 to an 18% HPS increase, and that's because you can stack mastery. Basically, anybody that's in like your conal effect of Light of Dawn is going to get the full mastery heal, your full percentage of your mastery, which means that you could stack just all mastery as like a play style, and they'll just get the full percent. That's really, really good scaling like down the line, right? So that could be as much as like an 18% HPS increase, honestly. The Word of Glory part at the bottom, I think, is a little bit of a bait. It says Word of Glory receives 50% increased benefit from your mastery. I think receiving the full benefit of your mastery is more important than like receiving a 15% benefit, and you have to choose whether or not you want to cast Light of Dawn or Word of Glory with your holy power, right? So not much of a contest there, in my opinion. I'd rather have the entire raid receiving the full percentage of my mastery by far. But who knows? Maybe you get your cooldowns down so much in the future that you can have both going on. All right, next is Inflorescence of the Sunwell. This thing was also kind of insane. This is for the caster build only, though. So it's insane for the caster build. This is the only reason the caster build has a chance, in my opinion. Gives Infusional Light an additional charge, and its effects are increased by 20%. It's worth noting that this isn't a 20% increase on the 30%. It's just a 20% flat, which is way better. So from 30% to 50%. So it makes Flash of Light 50% cheaper and Holy Light do 50% more healing. That's big. It also affects that splash healing from the conduit, which is why I think people are thinking that the caster paladin is the way, the truth and the light. And so they're in for a wild, wacky ride here in a second. This row is a bit of a dud. right? I think of Dusk and Dawn is a trap. It seems good, but it's just a worse Shadowbreaker. Just by like a pure mathematical test, you can immediately realize it's just worse. Uther's Devotion. Hey, we don't do utility here. The Magistrate's Judgment. This came out to be a decent amount. Assuming you're running this build, this kind of whatever, this weird like whatever we're doing here. This was like a 5% HPS increase, so it was decent. Not like the other ones, but yeah, it did all right. And that brings us to the Mad Paragon. And this is where things started to get out of control. As soon as I saw this, my mind, the wheels in it were turning. This says every single time you Hammer of Wrath during Avenging Wrath, it extends the duration of your wings by 1 second. On top of it doing plus 30% damage, which is like whatever. So it turns out that adds another layer of insane scaling with Divine Purpose and Awakening. And I attempted to theorycraft this, and I almost went mad myself because the diminishing returns were like infinite. Like that's not the right way to write it, but to say it. It's like basically when you combine all three of these, you will have with like a decent allotted amount of haste later on, you're gonna have 100% wing uptime completely. So that's it. I've spilled it. 100% wing build. That's it. It's Avenging Wrath with 100% uptime. I tested with my paladin on the beta. I have only 12% haste. I was able to do a 1 minute wings, and then I got another 10-second proc. So I spent 70 seconds of 120 seconds in wings. 70 out of 120 with 12% haste. I mean, I'm literally like swinging like a grandma. And as you guys perhaps know, some of you old Glimmerdins out there, paladins don't scale linearly with haste, they scale exponentially. And that's because Crusader Strike is 1.5 seconds off of Holy Shock instead of 1. So things that also every single generation you have that generates holy power is reduced by haste, and then the things that reduce those things are reduced by haste yet again. So Crusader Strike has like 2.5 times scaling on haste to reduce the cooldown of Holy Shock. So it's only a matter of time till you just are farming so many holy power points and spending so many like holy power spells that you're just adding time rather than losing time in wings. And I'm not kidding, it's just insane. So since wings is like a 44% HPS increase, I don't see how like, oh yeah, and that's just like the bonus. That's like the 20% plus the 20%. That's like how the scaling works. Not even just like, you know, the free holy power generation, obviously. So yeah. So then everything just became like, okay, well, how can we increase this even more? Right? And so that's basically what sort of led the rest of this. So go here. So yeah, the Mad Paragon, I theorize, this is some loose math because it gets real fucking nutty. I theorize the Mad Paragon is anywhere from 12 to 20% HPS increase. I wouldn't be surprised if these numbers were like low or like way too low or way too high. So basically guys, if I think the only viable way of playing Holy Paladin if you're trying to do like top HPS is the Shadowbreaker Dawn of Sun or the Mad Paragon. If you're gonna go the Mad Paragon, you won't have the super long range Light of Dawns, and so you're probably gonna have to use Word of Glory. So if you know you really need to think about the build, think about it like this: the Mad Paragon goes single target healing. The Shadowbreaker Dawn of the Sun is basically only AoE healing. So you have your split, right? Mad Paragon's kind of like half and half. Shadowbreaker is all AoE healing. And that's kind of the breakdown. And I think they'll both perform pretty close to each other. Shadowbreaker obviously needs a lot of mastery. Mad Paragon needs a lot of haste. So there's your two builds, guys. I got you two builds, but basically do the same thing, kind of. Except one's in wings the whole time, and the other one's just getting a huge buff from its mastery, and just casting 40-yard light of dawns. So both of them, in my opinion, are pretty cool. Yeah, so obviously Divine Toll just is insane because it's basically 30. Sorry, I'm burping. There's like, I think you get it's 5 holy shocks for the price of 1 in every single one, right? So that's 30 holy shocks in 6 minutes. That's 30 holy power, which means, you know, more generation towards, you know, you get more holy power spells, right? Yeah, you see where it's going. It just gets so ridiculous. Like, the more holy power you can get, the more spells you cast, the more wings, the more this, the more that. Also, I don't know exactly what the breakaway point is, but with the legendary, when you throw the hammer, you immediately get like 1 second, right? So as long as you have like a little bit of haste, you can always guarantee that you can get in 3 hammers, just because the legendary adds a couple seconds. And so even if you get like shit luck or like you have bad gear, it's just like, it's so reliably good. Like, you're just like, every single time you proc Awakening, it's at least a holy word spell, no matter what. Which is like, they buffed the holy word spells. Like, they're a considerable amount of your healing now. Ring Clarity, which is the conduit for Divine Toll, is pretty solid in my opinion. Just a lot of extra healing, and you know, everything's going to be probably Glimmer times 8, right? So that's why all the healing is so high for these things. It's going to be a lot of Glimmer healing and a lot of Holy Shock healing. Vanquisher's Hammer showed up to be really high, actually. This is the conduit where the Neck Ward, where when you Word of Glory, you also Light of Dawn. So obviously that's just an extra holy word spell every 30 seconds, right? So 12 extra, 12 free extra in a fight. So that's why it weighs so hard. The conduit kind of blows though for it. Blessing of Seasons showed up okay, and that's mostly because the blessing where you get reduced cooldowns is really good. But I think the Night Fae, for the most part, kind of sucks compared to the rest of them. And the Long Summer, if I read it correctly, is completely useless because it's a DPS thing. Ashen Hollow blows. Same with this conduit, but let's see. Oh, okay, here's one really weird, interesting issue. Your conduits, like your primary conduits, kind of all suck if you go this build. The best one is like the 8% crit chance to Holy Shock. It's pretty decent. There's also the increased healing on to holy power abilities every single time you Aura Mastery. But like, you're casting so many holy power abilities that like it gets bogged down. Let's see. Resplendent Light is obviously really good for the caster build, but not for the Awakening plus Divine Purpose. Untempered Dedication. Oh yeah, this is the Light of the Martyr one. It's kind of whatever, it's doo-doo. Alright, so the interesting thing I was going to say, Golden Path and Shielding Words actually weigh a lot of, like, percent of your healing. So you need Shielded Words if you're going to play the Mad Paragon, because you're mostly going to be casting Word of Glory, right? You'll be doing some Light of Dawns, but Word of Glory will be like the only way you can heal people far away. With that and like Holy Shocks, right? And Golden Path is just like free HBS. Like, it's just really good, like, free HBS that you can get for yourself. So the two of those weighed pretty high. It was pretty surprising, these like Guardian conduits being so good. Did they just beat out your main conduits? I don't know, maybe I was loopy and just did the math wrong, but they seem pretty insane. So yeah, it's no surprise here. Kalia just like beats out everybody. The 5% crit from Pointed Courage is pretty much all you need. Plus she has the perfect tree, right? She's got 2 Guardian, or I keep calling them Guardian, but they're Endurance conduits and 2 throughput conduits, which is exactly what you want. Plus Valiant Strikes, cherry on top. So yeah, all in all, the whole package is like a plus 32%. So things start to get snowbally really quick, because with the Kyrian Covenant ability, some haste, the legendary Divine Purpose, Awakening, it's just perma wings time, like all the time. It's so much fun. You guys are gonna love it. Here's the rest of the numbers. I'll put a link in the description. You guys can check them out. There was some close runner-ups, like Necrolord, Hiermir did decent, right? That was about it, maybe. I mean, Imni, right? If it's not Necrolord or if it's not Kyrian, then it's pretty much not viable. Let's see, final thoughts. Is there anything I need to... Oh yeah, there's the talent build. I think I already showed it to you. Okay, so basically here's how you're going to play it, right? You don't ever want to cap on Holy Power. You always want to use Holy Power like ASAP. Vanquisher's Hammer, sorry, I'm spurged out. Hammer of Wrath is like your ultimate priority, right? If you're able to use Hammer of Wrath, it's probably because you're in wings. And you want to extend the wings if you're running Mad Paragon. So if you're running Mad Paragon, then Hammer of Wrath is like super priority. Other than that, use Holy Shotgun cooldown. You like the whole idea here is just constantly be in motion, right? Constantly keep earning wings, constantly keep spinning your holy power to constantly keep getting more wings and then being able to throw Hammer of Wrath, right? Like it's really important that you get both of those uses of Hammer of Wrath in the 10 seconds. Like, so as soon as the awakening procs, you immediately need to throw the hammer. Bonk, throw the hammer. You know, 2 hammer uses every time minimum per wings. Like that's the rule, right? Oh yeah, if you have awakening rolling, make sure you wait till it's done before you activate the regular wings, because otherwise it'll just override it. Keep your beacon up. Obviously you can heal your beacon to get free holy power. Well, it's not free holy power, but if you need holy power, or the beacon target needs healing, I mean, of course there's always that. Yeah, use Crusader Strike. It's basically Glimmerden with extra steps. Oh yeah, use the Kyrian Covenant ability when you're out of holy power to just boom, get you 5 instantly. And yeah, haste is going to be very strong for both of these builds. If you're dead set on the caster build, guys, you're probably looking at like crit, definitely crit. Yeah, because you want the conduit to the infusion of light to be on like 24/7. So you're looking at crit, and then after that, I don't know, maybe haste, just so you can actually cast all those holy lights. And you're probably going to be ranged, so you don't really care too much for the mastery. So yeah. Okay, final thoughts, guys. I hope I didn't miss anything. It was a lot of fun theory crafting this class. Things look quite a bit different than I thought they were going to. I seriously, and I really mean this, I was actually 50-50 on releasing this video because I think this is going to be very strong. Well, I could be completely wrong, but I mean, according to the numbers, maybe I did the numbers wrong, but permanent wings, and I tested it, is very much a thing. And so if you can't get good HPS with permanent wings, then I don't know what you can't do. So I feel like if with perfect play, I don't see any reason why they won't just like shit stomp all the other healers, right? Like, and here's the thing, right? Even if you don't do like top HPS, you are doing a lot of damage, like a lot. And I don't normally like to talk about damage, but the damage just happens so perfectly with this class. Like your perma wings, you're throwing 30% increased execute hammers like it's no one's business, like every 4 or 5 seconds, probably with a decent amount of haste. You're just constantly extending wings. Like, it is just so much fun if you're playing Mad Paragon. And like, I would always try to play Mad Paragon over the other one, just because who doesn't want to be in wings all the time, right? But yeah, if your raid needs more AoE healing, then you go the other build. It's just that simple. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the other Discords have suggested, so maybe this will start a fun little social experiment, shall we call it, where the Discord just gets pissed off at me yet again. So yeah, I hope I'm right. I think at this point I've only got Rest of Druid to go. I've got 3 days before launch. I'm probably gonna chill a little bit you know, I definitely don't want to be doing any work on the last day. So we got 2 days to do Resto Druid. I've still got to go to sleep, of course. But right now it's looking like the 2 melee healers are really just winning the HBS war. Mistweaver and Paladin, I think, are winning. Although I will say this, Holy Priest is going to be very reliable, like really, really easy to heal with. Like if any of you guys have friends and they want to be a healer and they don't want to suck, and like if you stick them on Holy Priest and you just tell them to like get that legendary and just spam heal, I mean they're gonna be like 85% efficient right out the gate. And I don't think there's ever really been a time where you could be this good without knowing like that much. Like I'm gonna tell all of my friends that are new to WoW that want to play a healer, hey, look, play Holy Priest, play the heal build. You're gonna have a great time, right? Especially if they're coming from a classic or something, because you gotta remember all the people in classic, they only have like 3 different spells, and so they're used to using those spells for every situation, right? So just spamming heal will feel really like at home for them. But yeah, I'm surprised at how close everything's balanced. Also, there's a really high chance Holy Paladin gets buffed because right now the community thinks it's the worst. So I think there's a lot of reasons to get on the Holy Paladin train. Also, with you having redundancy and the fact that you have 2 broken legendaries means that they would have to nerf both the legendaries to break this class. So I realize as I'm saying it, I might be jinxing myself. But yeah, I mean, it just looks fun, looks good. I think I'm going to play Holy Paladin, Holy Priest, and if there's fights where I can't be in melee or we want something different like spot healer, I'll play my Holy Priest. I don't know, I still have to talk to my guild about it, you know. I'm going to play them both and then we'll see which one wins. Really, I have 2 weeks after release to kind of decide, right? Beginning of Heroic Week, I feel like, is when you kind of have to really make your mind up, right? As long as you're farming them out in Mythic Zeros and stuff. So, yeah, so Holy Paladin. Oh, one thing I should mention, right? One of the strengths of Holy Paladin is the fact that you're just getting all this free self-healing, right? Not that that's normally the best thing, but as like a melee healer, you have like a lot of survivability coming from a lot of these things. And it's pretty cool. In my opinion. So yeah, you might be able to just like ignore entire mechanics. I'm gonna be honest, there's a lot of just like, I mean, if you're constantly getting a Word of Glory off and you use that endurance conduit, I mean it's a 15% shield off that. So yeah, I don't know, we'll see. I feel like that's all, folks. I don't really know what else to say, so I guess I'll end it here. Thanks for watching. Resto Druid is the last on the table. I will not be theory crafting Disc Priest for my sanity's sake. Yeah, and I'm not sad about it at all. Maybe I'll take a little gander at it a week from now if I'm bored. But I think I'm going to have my hands full with these 5 healers, and probably going to be maining like 2 healers with like an alt. So I'll probably be playing like 3 of the healers that I've probably theory crafted for sure. And if it's not a healer that I'm going to be actively playing, guys, I'm probably going to just let these like guides, things that I've made, die, because I'm just wanting to focus on the healers that I'm going to play. That's just how it works for me. I all in. So pretty much if I'm going to be a Holy Priest, Holy Paladin, that's it, right? I'm not looking to give subpar information on a class I'm not even really playing. I feel like that's, you know, a little bit of irony because I just did theory crafting for all the classes and some of them I haven't played for years, but there it is. Alright, thanks for watching, guys.